Hello my friends, today I want to talk about Banished. This is a game I picked up on Steam about a week ago. I've been having a lot of fun with it. It is I guess the closest game to it would be something like SimCity or City Skylines. It is a simulation game where you build a thriving community. It reminds me a lot of Dwarf Fortress or Gnomoria, if you played that. It's kind of watered down from those. It's not as complicated. And after a while it may get a little tiresome, but it's definitely fun. It's a good way to spend a few hours if you are relaxing and you just want to do something fun. So I thought we could jump in and I could show you what Banished is like. This is available on Steam right now. When I got it, it was on sale for like $6. I think the regular price is $20. So if you like what you see and you want to get it, you might want to get it soon rather than later. Alright, about to create a new town here. I chose the name Bincotton Bridge, and for the map seed I'm using Euler's number. Just give me any number you want. Obviously it's just a random number that feeds into the name's random number generator and causes it to it affects the terrain, how the game generates terrain and events and things like that. Alright, so we're going to do valleys, because valleys are easier than mountains. I'm going to do a large map, fair climate. We'll leave disasters turned on. Disasters add a little bit of challenge to the game. And we'll go for medium difficulty. In medium difficulty, you start with some clothing and some supplies. Enough supplies to last maybe a year. So that's pretty good for your little community. Alright. So the underlying idea of this game, much like Gnomoria or Dwarf Fortress, is you begin with a small band of nomads, somewhere between 10 and 20 people. And they've come out into the wilderness. They have some supplies with them, and they're going to build their own community out in the wilderness, and you've got to help them survive. I guess, given the name Banished, the idea is that these people were banished from their homeland, and they're now going to have to make their own way in the world. Alright, so I'm going to pause the game immediately. Here are our group of people. And the thing about Banished, like most simulation games, is it's really a numbers game. You have to watch your numbers. And there are a number of control panels that we should bring up, information windows. This is the first one. I like to have them over here on the right. Shows the name of the city, what the season is, what the year is, how many people are in your town. This is adults, this is children on the right, and that's students in the middle. Right now there are no students because I have no school. So I have 10 adults and 10 children, 20 people. And then we have logs here, stone here, iron here. This is firewood, which is basically what happens when you chop up a log. Coal, which you can mine for. Stored tools, the tools that you use to mine with or cut down trees with. Amount of stored food, we have 1,800 food. Amount of stored medicine, we don't have any. Stored clothes, stored alcohol, and stored textiles. Textiles are things like leather, wool, stuff like that. This represents the average health of my citizens. As you can see, everybody's happy and healthy. Well, healthy. The stars show how happy they are. Everybody's happy right now. And this shows the current weather and temperature. It's very clear, but it's very cold. It's freezing right now. And that's because it's early spring. Alright, so let's take a little look at our town. I'm going to use my WASD keys and move around here. There are all our people, kids and adults. The little houses over their heads, a little circle with a house, currently means I don't have a house. That tells me they're all homeless. So these people are going to need some houses. That's going to be an early thing we need to resolve. This structure here is the storage barn. And in the storage barn there are 1,800 potatoes, some stored iron tools, and some stored coats. The same materials you see up here. It's not a place where people can live. But it is a place where people can go to get supplies. So if they're hungry, they'll go to the storage barn and get some potatoes. And then this here is a stockpile. The stockpile, I'm rotating here so we can get another look at it. The stockpile is just a flat area of land that's set aside to put goods on, usually raw goods. So what you're going to see in a stockpile is logs, stone, and iron, and also chopped firewood. Nothing else will go into a stockpile. So if these guys grow corn, the corn won't go into the stockpile. It'll go into the storage barn. And ultimately, we're going to want to replace that storage barn with something better. But for now, that'll have to do. So let's back out a little bit and take a look at this terrain. Okay. This is a beautiful world. This is a nice, pretty big, flat, mostly flat area. There's a hill here, there's a small hill here, a couple little ridges in here, but nothing too bad. Lots of raw stone lying around that we can harvest and use as building materials. This darker stone here is actually iron. It just sits on the surface like a deposit. We can gather that up. The thing about gathering up these resources, of course, is that they don't come back. So if you gather up all the stone and the iron, that's it. You have all the stone and iron you're going to get. The only way to get more are to build special structures called quarries for stone or mines for iron. But those are big structures, they're hard to build, and they're going to come later. So for now, we're going to be depending on all of this stone and iron scattered around the map to help build our community. This is a little river, too small to really fish in, big enough to require a bridge to get across, though. The main river is over here. Every map has a main river, that's it. If we want to fish, this will be the place to fish. And also, if we want to set up trading posts to trade the goods that we make or find with passing traders, the traders will come down these rivers and we'll want to build trading posts here to interact with them. So ultimately, we probably want to move away from this little stream and toward that big river. So our initial push, I think, is to grow our community in this direction, up here, to the north, towards this river up here, if that is north. Alright, so let's get some other info windows out. There's some other things we need. This is the professions window. Okay, so this shows what everybody in the community does for a living. Right now we have 10, kids don't work. Right now we have 10 laborers. That means just general workers. If I say chop down a tree, a laborer will go and chop down a tree. If I say gather up this stone and iron, laborers will go and gather up the stone and iron. But we're going to want to move these laborers into more specialized positions. Like, for example, if we plant a field of crops, we're going to want to make people into farmers. When we want to make our own tools, we'll need a blacksmith. When we want to make our own clothes, we'll need a tailor. When we want to make tools, I'm sorry, I already said tools. When we want to make firewood, we're going to need a woodcutter. This is a part of the game that I find a little peculiar. Anybody can chop down a tree, but only a woodcutter can turn it into firewood for you. You actually have to set aside a special person to do your cutting of wood into firewood. I think that's a little odd, but it is one of the resources we have to manage because it gets very cold in the winter. Okay. Another window we'll want up is the events window. This just tells you what happens. Every time someone's born, it shows up here. Every time someone dies, it shows up here. If someone gets sick, or if someone changes jobs, or if someone wants to join the village, or whatever, you'll get a message here telling you what's going on. If there's a disaster, if something catches fire, or something like that, it will tell you here. It will also warn you here if your reserves get low. So if your firewood, for example, drops very, very low, you'll get a warning here saying, hey, your reserve of firewood is very low. So it's good to have that up so we can see what's going on in our town. One other thing that you don't really need, but I like to have it, is the map. This is the map of the area. Okay. The yellow trapezoid shows the area of the map that I'm actually viewing. Gives you a sense of where you are. So the main river is here. It runs from the north side of the map down to the south side. There's a small pond here. And right now, the community is here. It's really not ideal placement. We would rather be over here by the river. So we're going to have to work our way over there. Alright, now, life in one of these towns is centered around the marketplace. When you first begin the game, you're probably not going to have a marketplace. You have to have a few people before you can really manage a marketplace. But the good thing about a marketplace is the people who work in the marketplace will travel all over the map and gather up all the various items that your citizens need to live. They'll gather up firewood that has been chopped, they'll gather up stone, they'll gather up iron, tools, clothes, food, fish, whatever it is. They'll gather it up and they'll bring it to the marketplace. And then all your citizens who live near the marketplace will simply go to the marketplace to get the items they need. This is really the way you want your game to work. If you don't have marketplaces and you have a guy who's living, let's say, here by this mountain, he's living over here by himself, and all the firewood and fish and whatever are over here, and then the tailor is way over here, and I don't know, the barn with the wheat in it is over here. If the guy wants to make a fish sandwich and wear a warm coat while he's at it, he's got to travel all over the map to get those things. And people can die of exposure, especially when it's cold, but also that takes a lot of time. If that guy's job is to, I don't know, farm or to raise sheep or something, he's not doing his job if he has to travel far distances over the map to get those things. So you really do want to have a marketplace as soon as you can build one. So let's take a look at the buildings. They're down here. Here's a marketplace. And as you can see, the market's very big. The yellow circle shows the area that the marketplace would serve, right? So if you place this marketplace here, then any houses inside that yellow circle, people who live in those houses will come to that market to get goods. And the vendors that work at that market will make sure that they have enough goods to support that many people, whoever lives inside that yellow circle. So ideally, you want to place the market pretty central and then put your houses around it. So as you can see, we sort of just look. See that red there? That's because there's a little hill there. We can't put the marketplace on a hill. It's got to be on flat land. So this is how we can figure out where the marketplace will be. And this looks pretty good. We do want our community to move toward the water. So actually maybe we should shift it a little bit. Like maybe here. What do you think? There. There you go. That's pretty good. Right there. So that gives you a good area. It gives you lots of coast covered, so all those people living on the coast, and ultimately when we build a trading port down there on the water, the trader will be connected to the market. That's a good thing. So if we wanted to instruct our people to build a market, we could just click the map, and now the market's on the map. We'll need to assign some laborers as builders here to make them build it. However, a market's very expensive. It would take 58 logs, 62 stone, and 40 iron. That would be all the iron we have. And more stone than we currently have. We can't afford to build this marketplace right now. But, so that we don't forget where we want the marketplace to go, I'm going to tell my citizens to put down some dirt roads around the market, where the market will be. Like that. Yep. Right. So now there's this little square of dirt roads. Now dirt roads cost almost nothing to build. They just take time. It only takes time to build them. It doesn't take any materials. They just go over there with their tool and they dig out the dirt, and that's it. You have a dirt road. So now we can go here and say we want to cancel building that marketplace. There. So now we have a squared piece of dirt road that tells us where our marketplace is going to be. Okay? So now it's near the marketplace we're going to want to live. So let's mark off another square. Let's see, we'll go like that. That, and like that. Okay, so now there's another square here for some houses. Now we have a place for houses. We have a place for our market. Okay. Now ultimately, these people are going to need to grow crops to keep themselves fed. However, in our first year, when we're just getting established, we don't really want to worry about that too much. I know that sounds a little strange. The thing is, I'm going to mark off one more square here. So this is where we'll grow some crops. Our citizens have some seeds in their storage barn. Alright, so this is where the marketplace will eventually go. This is where we're going to put some houses. This is where we're going to start growing some crops. And ultimately, the layout of your town, this is one way to do it. You don't have to do it this way, but the layout of the town would be best served by building a sort of grid around the marketplace, where you put houses close to the market, and then services and crops further out. Okay? But, primarily, it takes educated workers to produce a lot of good food on a farm. And all of our people are pretty much uneducated right now. We don't have a school. So we could put down farms. It would take a while to grow the food, and then there wouldn't be a lot of food for us to eat. So if we try to go straight to farming right now, it might not work out so well. So what I would recommend for the first year is to focus on getting shelters built and getting other forms of food. There are other ways to get food than just farming. Fishing is a good example. If we build a fishing pier over here and assign some people to be fishermen, they'll pull fish out of the water, and they'll pull fish out of the water year-round. So we'll have fish all year long, as opposed to just during the growing season, right? Or during harvest time, which is when you get your food. There's also wild food just growing in these forests. If we take a close look here, we'll find some. Look, there are some mushrooms. Over here are some wild onions. There are deer out here. Okay? There are roots you can eat out here. So if we set up some of our citizens as hunters and gatherers, they can gather supplies to keep us going until we're ready to really start building crops. Until we're ready to start farming crops. So I think the next thing to do would be to find a place to set up our hunting and our gathering. You want to set it up in a forested area, and you want to set it up in an area that you don't plan to move all bunches of houses into, because of course you have to tear down the forest to do that. So, let's go into here, and let's get a gatherer's hut. The yellow circle shows where the gatherer would gather their food from. Alright, so here was the marketplace. It was going to be here. And the marketplace circle extended pretty much out to here, so the market circle would probably end over here somewhere, so we probably want our gatherer beyond that. Alright, so if we put our gatherer up here, they could use this region to bring in wild food that can be found. Alright, so I think that's where we're going to put our gatherer. I'm just going to turn the building around and put it there. Alright, the other thing we're going to want out there is a hunter. So we need a hunting cabin. The hunter and the gatherer can pretty much live right next door to each other. There's no reason not to. Hunter has a slightly bigger circle, so I'm going to shift him over a little bit. There we go. So we'll have a guy who hunts out here, who brings in the deer, helps bring venison and leather to our community. The leather we'll use to make clothes. The venison will keep our kids fed. And the last thing we're going to want to do is we're going to need a steady supply of logs for firewood. Now, we can get logs ourselves. I can keep telling the citizens, chop down this bunch of trees, chop down that bunch of trees. But what you really want is you want sustainable logging. And in order to do that, you have a forester. A forester is a citizen that you assign to an area, and what that citizen will do is he will regularly cut logs in that area and plant new trees. That's the important part. By planting new trees, he'll keep the area well forested. It'll be his job to try to keep the land forested but keep you supplied with logs. And you can add more and more foresters as time goes on, and you have to set aside more forest to do it, but that allows you to have a steady supply of wood without completely stripping the land. So we need what's called a forester, and we can find him under Resource Production, the Forester's Lodge, and here it is. And I guess we can put him next to the hunting cabin, maybe here. Yeah, that looks good. Now, there's a lot of stone out there. You can't plant trees in stones, so we're going to have our citizens go in there and remove all that stone. We're going to need it anyway. But those are buildings we are going to need sooner rather than later. So I'm just going to take a little dirt road here and draw a line right between our buildings, straight over here, he said, thinking he could go straight. Now there's a little thing in the way. That's fine. That doesn't matter. It's bending like that because there's a hill there. And I'm just going to join up with my grid right here. There. Alright. Now, that's going to take 34 logs out of 120, 12 of our stone. That one's going to take 30 logs, 12 of our stone. That's going to take another 30 logs, 12 of our stone. Alright, so, Alright, so we're going to have to cut some forest immediately and gather some stone immediately. That's okay. That's why we have builders and, laborers. Alright, so, in order to build all this stuff, it says we need a total of 8 builders. That's the number of jobs available. I'm going to set 4 people as builders, because I need to use some people as gatherers. And I'm going to tell some people to come out here and just gather all the resources in this area. There. Alright, so now I've unpaused the game. And there are the citizens. They're going to the barn to get clothes and food. And now they're going to head out and do the jobs I gave them. Now, they're moving kind of slow, but we can speed the game up, and I recommend we do. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. Alright. Okay, so these guys are wandering around. Those may be kids. Those guys seem to be wandering aimlessly. Yeah, that's a child. He's just playing. The adults will actually be working. What they'll be doing is bringing supplies out here to the building sites, and also chopping down all these trees, taking out these rocks. There's the hunting cabin going in. Now, as you can see, our food reserves are going to go down for a while. One citizen will eat about 100 food in a year. We have 20 people, and we have 1,800 food, or we started with 1,800 food. So by the end of the year, we'll be at practically no food at all. We do have enough food to get us through this year. That gives us time to get some structures built, get some other sources of food in play. Okay, so now you can see a big question mark over this finished hunting cabin. That means there's nobody working there. So we have a hunting cabin, but no one currently assigned as a hunter. This cabin can support up to 3 hunters. We'll just start with 1. Okay, so we have 4 builders assigned. Let's take one of our laborers and make him a hunter. All we got to do is click that. Okay, same thing with our gatherer. We'll raise our gatherer. Whenever you raise any particular job count, the person who gets assigned is a laborer. If no laborers are available, you won't be able to up any of these numbers. Alright, so we have one hunter and one gatherer working. Probably going to up those numbers because the hunters and the gatherers are going to be our sources of food. And food is pretty much vital to this enterprise, right? Just want to get everything built here. Okay, we only need 2 builders. Now, the game's not completely unintelligent. If you have, 4 people assigned as builders, but there's nothing to build, and you say to the citizens, I want you to cut down this group of trees, the builders will go and do it. If you have people assigned as farmers, and it's the middle of winter, and you say, go cut down these trees, the farmers will also join the laborers and go cut down the trees. So you can expect a little bit of common sense in the way the citizenry organize themselves as far as jobs. They won't wander around like idiots when trees need to be cut down, or things like that, if they have nothing else to do. Alright, we're now in summer. Our food reserves are down to 1,200. Yeah, we're under 1,200. Alright, so we have 7 laborers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to up the gatherers to 2 and the hunters to 2. We definitely want to keep that food coming in. When winter comes, I may up them to 3. We'll see. We're waiting for them to build the forester's hut. Alright, so the forester's hut is built. Right now, I'm not going to assign anybody as a forester. We got it built. And all this area that we're stripping, the forester will replant it. But we have other needs that are more important right now than a regular forest attendant. For now, we can just cut down trees willy-nilly for supplies. But we're getting to a point where we need to build these people some shelter, and I'd also like to set up a fishing pier so they have one other source of food. And when the next season comes, then we'll start planting crops. So if we hover really close here, there's one of my dirt roads. And this is the corner of the marketplace. This square here, see the line? This square here is where the marketplace was going to be. And if we imagine extending this grid, I'm going to rotate around here. If we imagine extending this grid out to the water, you can see about where it would come out. That makes sense to build a road to there, and we'll put a fishing cabin there. So let's do that. And then it will be time to make houses for these people, which they have been very patiently waiting for. Okay, let's put the dirt road, I gotta zoom out so I can make, yeah, you gotta be careful. I think I'll put it there. Okay, let's rotate the map. So we're going to put our little fishing pier here. Alright, so if we go to food, fishing dock, here we go. We just got to find a place where it will fit. That looks great. Can we move it over any? We can. Yeah, we can put it right there. That's perfect. Okay, so we'll have a fishing dock there. Let's just extend this road like that. The reason why you want to put down dirt roads is your citizens will travel more quickly on dirt roads. They'll travel even more quickly on stone roads. You may want to, if you find a road that has a lot of traffic, you may want to upgrade it to a stone road later. Alright, so that's going to take 2 builders. Our citizens are still gathering some materials. These little X's show material they still have to gather. They have to gather this stone here. Doesn't look like they're currently gathering any more wood, so it's just that stone. Yeah, see the guy with the pickaxe? These guys here are gathering stone. There you go. Well, I guess there is a little bit more wood going. And they'll take this stuff back over here to the stockpile, which is getting full. That's good. We want a full stockpile because we're going to be building some houses soon. We're also going to need to make a woodcutter to turn this these logs into firewood. It's firewood that will keep our citizens warm in the winter. Alright, so I think next order of business is to probably build the woodcutter's shop and then start laying out some houses. So we'll go to resource management. This guy here is the woodcutter. So this is where the market's going to go. This is where the houses are going to go. This is where the crops will eventually go. So I think we can put our woodcutter down here so that he's near the houses. There's the road. Woodcutter. We need more builders, so I'm going to move some people from laborers to builders. Okay. There we go. So they're building this dirt road here, and they'll remove any materials that are in the way. So these rocks, this iron, that'll get harvested and taken back to the stockpile. A tree was in the way. That's good. We're going to need those resources. We've got to get some houses built soon, though. We're getting into autumn. It's going to get really cold. Okay, so we got a warning here. Storage for logs, stone, and iron is near capacity. Yeah, that's because there's stuff you're supposed to be building you haven't built yet. Alright, so we really got to throw down some houses right away. Now, you can build houses out of wood. The problem with wood houses is they're colder, so they need more firewood. They also are more prone to be burning down in fires. And if your town is made of wooden houses, fire is really bad news. You'll have a lot of homeless people real quick. So I prefer to build stone houses. Stone houses take more materials. As you can see, we need 10 iron and 40 stone to build a stone house. So right now, given that we only have 94 stone, we're only going to be able to build 2 stone houses. That's a start, though. We only need to build just enough to get our citizens ensconced in homes. So let's build one here and one here, right next to the woodcutter, which is going to be there. Alright, so now we want 9 builders. I'm not going to use that many builders. But what I will do is I'll have my laborers clear out this square. Chop down any trees, anything like that that are in the way. We've got to get this area clear so we can see what we're doing, since that's where we're building houses. Ugh, it's wet fall weather and they still don't have homes. I feel terrible. Okay. Yep. There we go. Leaves are off the trees. Woodcutter's being built. Alright, I'm going to pause the game for a second. See if our fishing cabin has been built. That's still in progress. Should be ready soon. Okay. Alright, so our food is at 1100. It's not dropping as quickly as it was before. That's good. That's because we're bringing in venison and gathered goods from the gatherer's hut and the hunter's hut. So I think we should add some fishermen and get some more food in here. So let's add 2 fishermen. And we'll have them work here. They'll catch the fish and they'll carry it back to the barn. Oh boy, these poor people. Alright, so here's the woodcutter lodge. Currently the fuel limit is set to 200. It means that the woodcutter is going to try to keep the firewood at this level. If it drops below 200, he'll start cutting firewood again. We need to assign someone to be a woodcutter. 1 woodcutter. We don't need 5 builders anymore. Our poor citizens, they're so cold. They're going to start freezing to death. Yay, we got a house. Okay. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people are living in this house. We have a Orance, 17-year-old male hunter, S3, 18-year-old female fisherman, Park, 8-year-old child, a Dollarine, an 11-year-old gatherer, and Amarine, a 5-year-old child. So that's 6 people in that house. That means there are 15 left. We get a couple more houses built, we should be good. Alright. How are we doing over here for storage? It's not too bad. However, we have a problem. We can't build any more houses without more stone. But, as you can see, stone is readily available here. And we can prioritize and tell our citizens just to gather stone. So here's a big pile of it. So if we go over here to the removal and destruction tools, you can see there's one for wood, one for stone, one for iron, and one for everything. So we're just going to focus on stone and tell our 3 laborers and our 2 unoccupied builders to pick up that stone there. And as soon as our stone level gets up to 40, we'll be able to build another stone house. $35, $47. Bang. New stone house. Okay. Now we don't want to stop gathering stone. We're going to need more of it. This is a mix of stone and iron, so let's tell our citizens to gather this stone too. And then there's just kind of an idiot. There's like a big pile of it right here next to the woodcutter. Let's tell our citizens to gather that stone too. So we're down to 13 homeless. A big house, only 2 people moved in. Yay, Seuss. Okay. Okay, so our food levels have dropped considerably to 549. So we are definitely going to have to think about crops in the spring, which is coming soon. Alright. Now, you notice that nobody froze during the winter. The thing is, if someone gets cold, they don't have to go to their own home to get warm. They can stop at anybody's home and warm up. So, nobody froze to death because they all had places they could go to get warm. They'd be a lot happier if they had their own homes to live in. And as you can see, they're not 100% healthy. People do have trouble. And they're having trouble because a lot of them wintered outside. Okay, that house is coming along. Great. Alright, we're down to 9 homeless people. We have 70 stone. We definitely can build another stone house. I think we should. We'll put it right there. Nine homeless people. I think 1 or 2 more houses and we'll be done. Alright, so now it's early spring. We must plant crops. There is no getting around that. We have to plant crops. So, we're going to need to build a crop field. Alright, so it looks like there's a little hill right here that's going to stop us from putting a crop field that fills the entire square. So, here we go. 7 by 12, we'll plant one there. And 7 by 5, we'll plant one there. That will create another way for food to come in. Whoo-wee! Look at that food jump around. We are running out of food. Alright, it's spring. We really need those crops taken care of. If we wait too long to plant, we won't have a very good harvest. But it looks like we're using all of our materials to get that house built. There we go. Now we're clearing the crop field. Good. Alright, so this field is ready to be planted. Let's see what we have. We have potatoes and cabbage. So we'll do potatoes. And to work this field, we now need, it says we need 2 farmers. Alright. We'll assign 2 farmers. Drop our builders down to 3. And hopefully our farmers will get planting right away. It's still spring. Yep. There are people wandering around. That guy there, these guys are planting. If we look, yeah, see? See, he's got like a little hoe or something. Let me slow down time here. See him? He's out there working the field. Alright, so good. So we have our farmers taking care of that field, and we'll have to add another farmer for this field. Okay. Since that's potatoes, why don't we have this field be cabbage? It's going to need 1 more farmer. There he is. Drop a builder. Alright, our woodworker's busy. Making firewood. Alright, so our food had dropped all the way down to 200 and change, but now it's up to 500. So food is coming in. That's good. As you can see, it's going to move up and down. What we would really like to see is we would like to see an extra year's worth of food. So however many citizens you have, right now we have 21. That means they're going to eat 2,000 in a year, or 2,100 in a year. What I'd really like to see is 4,200 in reserve. That means we'll have plenty of stored food if there's a blight or there's an infestation of some kind and the crops get spoiled, or there's a disease and everybody gets sick and nobody can work the fields. We'll have food to get through that until we can, get to the next growing season. Alright. And we can see there are plants coming in here. It looks like nobody has planted this field. It may be that it's too late in the season. Nope, someone's going at it. Alright, so now, because these fields were started late in the season, they're not going to be as productive. So we may not bring in as much food this year as we will next year when we're working on this from the beginning of the season. Alright, our 2 builders are done with all their jobs. And we still have 5 homeless people, so I think it's time to build another house. Alright. The little triangles show the frontage, where the house should face the road. Like that. Now, can't really fit a house in back there. I made this square a little small. I can definitely fit a house there. Seems like there'd be a little wasted space in the center, but that's just the way it's going to be. Alright, so we'll put a house there. And let's see if that one house is good enough. Okay, so our people are clearing that area. And now they're bringing supplies and dropping them off. Those deer are going to have to move out of the way. Okay, so this symbol here means that the woodworker is done. It means that we told him to make sure there was 200 firewood in the stockpile. Yep, and there is. So he doesn't have any more work to do. That means now he's going to behave like a laborer. So if we have to cut down some trees or whatever, no problem, he'll take care of it. Alright, so our reserve of iron is low and our reserve of food is low. It's 500. It's low. It's low, but it's not the end of the world yet. Alright, so let's gather up this iron right here. See that iron hiding back there? In fact, let's just strip all the resources out of this area. We need to see what's going on in this town anyway. Alright, there's more stone here. Let's just gather up that stone. We're going to need it. Is there any stone hiding in the woods? Yeah, there's a little bit in here. We'll get that too. There's more iron here. Let's gather that up. And we're going to need more stone, because we've got more houses to build. Still have 5 homeless people. There's a big pile of stone right there, huh? Oh yeah, that's a goodly pile. Alright, how's this house coming along? All the materials that need to be there are there. Yep, there go the builders. They're working on it now. Okay. Alright, hey look! Nobody's homeless! Everybody has a house. So that means for now, we don't need to build any more houses. Now, here's the thing about houses. As long as you build houses, only the oldest pair of people in the house will produce offspring. So if you look in this house, right, you have a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old. That's the mom and the dad. And they're going to produce children. But when this one here, say Doreen, she's 14, when she gets old enough to marry, she won't have kids because she's living with her parents, right? So ultimately, the birth rate will stagnate if you don't add houses. So it's a way for you to control the birth rate by refusing to add more houses until all the support and services and supplies are there to keep your community going. We've already had a couple kids born. We're up to 17 adults and 5 children. That's 23 people. So we've had 3 new people added. What we really need to work on now is our food supplies. Alright? So we have 5 laborers just wandering around, picking up iron and rocks and things. That's all stuff we need, but we really need food. And we already have a hunting lodge, a gatherer's hut, and a fishing cabin, and they're not fully staffed. Okay? As you can see here, 2 of 4 fishermen, 2 of 4 gatherers, 2 of 3 hunters. Let's take a look at the stored food. So there's the stored food. So as you can see, we have 143 venison. A lot of our food is deer meat. And then you have things like onions, mushrooms, roots, and berries. Those are coming from the gatherer. It's about 150 units of food from the gatherer. So the gatherers and the hunters are producing about the same amount of food. Then we have some potatoes. That's the food we brought with us. It's almost gone. And we have some fish from the fishermen. So there's 2 fishermen. They've only brought in 50 fish. So it looks like the fishermen aren't bringing in too much. But it would make a lot of sense to have more hunters and gatherers. We have 1 slot available for a hunter, so let's make 1 more hunterer. Hunterer? We have 4 laborers left. Let's add another gatherer. Then let's add 1 more gatherer. Keep our laborers at 2. I like to keep my laborers at 2. Why? Because people die of old age. Or people have accidents and they die. If a farmer dies, he needs to be replaced. If there's a laborer available, the laborer will replace him automatically. You'll get a message here saying, so-and-so was struck by lightning and he was replaced by whatever. Right? If you don't have available laborers, you start having a depletion of the people who are doing important jobs in your town. It's always good to have a couple laborers. And remember, in a pinch, if you're not building anything, you can knock your builders down to 0 to make them into laborers. The reserve of food is low. Ooh, 200. Ooh, 27. That's not good. Okay, so stored food is now 0. They ate it, the pigs. And I think that means if we check here, we'll find that each home has its own inventory. So this is the food people have in their houses to live on. So they have food, But everything that was in reserve, everything that was in the storage barn, is gone right now. It's okay. We can live that way, but not for long. So, since I don't plan to build anything else right now, we are going to need a blacksmith. We are going to need a tailor to make clothes and tools. So those are going to run out. But right now, we might as well take our 2 builders and make them into fishermen. We need the food. A child named Fred was born. And as children grow up, they'll become laborers. Alright, it's late summer. So soon, probably when we hit autumn, those 2 fields will be... There they go. They're harvesting. They're harvesting up the potatoes and the cabbage. And that jumped our food supplies up a little bit. Up to 600. Alright. So at the end of harvest, we really only have about 750 food in reserve. That's only 800 food. That's only enough food to feed 8 people for a year. And that food has got to last all winter. Fortunately, we have people gathering, we have people hunting, and we have people fishing. So we do have some more sources of food. We can try and help out a little bit. We can go across the map here and just find wild food resources and tell our citizens to gather them. That's not going to add up to much, but there is food scattered here and there. Like there are some wild onions. See them there? So why don't we tell our citizens to start gathering up some of those resources. We'll just select that. We'll select that. Whoops, they're going to take down that tree too. That's okay. Right. Okay, yep, there's a little more. A little bit of food. Go get the goods. There we go. These are all just growing in the woods right near the town. They're outside of the gatherer's circle, that area that's covered by the gatherer's hut, so this will be food in addition. It's not a lot. This is not a huge amount of food, but at this point, every little bit helps. And we're down to 2 laborers. The woodcutter also is not busy right now, so he can go take care of it. So they'll run out there in the woods and gather up that food eventually. I think they're still gathering some iron or stone that we told them to gather earlier. Yep, there's some stone here. They're just finishing that up. Getting rainy. Stockpile is still at 600. Alright, there they go. Now they're gathering the food. 631, 679, that's good. So we're bringing in a little bit more food. $996, that's great. Someone probably just brought in a bunch of fish or venison. Oh yeah. This is good. So it's late autumn. We're not bringing in any more crops, and the levels of food are going up. That's a good thing. Alright, so what does our stockpile look like? A lot of stone, a little bit of iron, some firewood. We need more firewood. Okay. I think we will tell our citizens to clear the area where the marketplace is going to be. There's some food. I can see some, mushrooms and things in there, so that's a little bit more food. So why don't we just tell them to clear that? And that'll give us a little more wood for the woodcutter to work with, because he's going to need it. There they go. See, there's a lot more of them now, because it's winter and the farmers are no longer busy. There we go. And that got us up to 1,200 food, so there was definitely stuff in there, mushrooms and stuff. And I can see more plants here, more mushrooms and things here, so let's have them gather a little bit on the side there. We'll just come down here and gather to, say, there. Okay, so now some good things have happened. In late autumn, 2 kids grew up and became adults, and they're working as laborers. So that means we have a total of 4 laborers now. So in the early spring, we can lay out a new crop field and put those laborers to work as farmers. And we're definitely going to want to do that because, man, we need food. Once we get the food situation straightened out, which I think we will do in the next couple of seasons, then we can start thinking about staffing that forester's hut and also putting in some of the other things that we're going to need in this town. We only have 11 iron tools left. We're going to need a blacksmith, and we're going to need them real soon. So that's another thing we're going to have to address. Otherwise, we'll run out of tools, and with no tools, the citizens become very, very unproductive at their jobs, obviously. I mean, if your job is to cut down trees, how well can you do it with a broken axe, right? So, alright, we're up to 1,280 food. That's good. I see some wild mushrooms right there. Not mushrooms, onions. We'll get that little patch. Okay. Food has dropped a little bit. Alright. Alright, so let's prepare for the next year. It's late winter. We want to have a field ready by early spring. So let's block out, let's see, a square. For dirt roads. And then we're going to plant fields in here. An area this big will require 4 farmers. We have 5 laborers, so we really could do it. We'd be pushing it, but we could do it. I really think we should. Alright, so let's see. Let's break them up into 7 by 7 fields, so we're going to make 4 crop fields in here. 7 by 7 is about as big as you can make it and have it be worked by 1 farmer. Alright. Let's get those people in there and cut that material down. Late winter. Doing okay. Okay, it'll be early spring soon. That's cabbage, and that's potato. So let's make this cabbage, and this potato. Alright. We need 2 more farmers. We have 5 laborers. Let's assign them. Late winter. We're still in late winter. Okay. This is cabbage. That's cabbage. Let's make this potato. Now you notice I'm trying to make it so that there aren't 2 crops of the same kind next to each other. The reason for that is infestations. You can get diseases or bugs that will attack a field. And when that happens, you need to harvest the field early. However, if the field is next to another crop field of the same kind, the bugs can, it's infectious, it can catch. So you want to try to stagger them so that they're different types next to each other to reduce the chances of the spread of crop diseases. So what did we say? That's cabbage, so this will be potatoes. 1 more farmer. Late winter, Kayla has become an adult, working as a laborer, so we picked up another laborer. That's good. Alright, so this is going to be cabbage here, but there's still items to be removed. Alright, cabbage. Yum. Oh, and we need to assign a farmer. Alright, now, the only way to get this dirt road built is to get some builders on the case. We only have 1 laborer left, so we'll throw him at the job. Alright, our farmers are busy. It's early spring. Storage for logs and iron is near capacity. Great. There goes our builder. Very good. Okay, so it's spring. Right now all we're doing is planting, we're not harvesting. And as you can see, our food supplies are pretty stable. They're hovering at around 1,100. That's enough to feed 11 people, or about 12 people for a year. So that's pretty good. There's 24 people in our town. So it's about half of what we need, but we're on our way. And when this large set of crops gets harvested, I think we'll be in a much better place. We can start talking about making a blacksmith to keep our people supplied with tools, and also making a tailor to keep our people supplied with clothes, because those are going to run out. But I think we have done a pretty good job. We've got our community established. We're up to 1,700, 1,600, 1,500 food. So food is coming in. Alright, so it's complaining that this stockpile is almost full, and it's not going to shut up about it. So let's put down another stockpile. Just for now, we'll just make another stockpile. I don't know, on the other side of the barn, maybe. There. And that should stop it from making all that annoying noise. There we go. No, it's still complaining. Reserve of tools is low. Yeah. Yep, so we're going to need a blacksmith. Alright, well, I've been at this for about an hour. As you can see, I have a tiny little, I wouldn't even call it a village, not even a hamlet, just a little settlement. But, yeah, they're going to need tools soon. But we're on our way, and we may have to take a couple of fishermen. In fact, let's do one more thing. We're going to have to take one of the fishermen off the case, because we're going to need a blacksmith. There's no getting around it. Let's take care of that now. Blacksmith. I put him here? No. I fit him here? Looks like I might be able to fit him. No, I can't fit him here. How about like that? Nope. Alright, so we'll put him there. Okay, we'll temporarily assign one of our laborers to be a builder. Come on, builders. Alright. Everybody's whizzing around here at high speed. Food's coming in. Look at that. 2,000 food. That's enough to feed all of our citizens for 1 year. And we're not even done harvesting yet. So we've done pretty good here. It was a rough start. It wasn't easy, but then again, starting a settlement is not supposed to be easy, is it? But we made it. We're probably a little bit late on the blacksmith. We probably should have made one sooner, but you work with what you have. 3,000 food. Okay. Let's unassign our builders. Let's assign a blacksmith. We have 13 iron. We're going to need more iron. We'll tell him to keep making tools until he's got 50 of them. He'll run out of iron before that happens. And in the meantime, we have one guy available as a laborer. That sucks, but you got to work with what you got. Let's have that laborer work on gathering iron. So, there's a big pile of iron right here. He can gather that, and there's one chunk there. He can gather that too. And our farmers are very shortly not going to be busy, so they can help. All right. Okay. Alright, so our blacksmith here will make iron tools. There he goes, he's working away in there. He'll make iron tools, he'll drop them off the storage barn, and as he does, people who need new tools will go there and get them. Now that we have him on the job, we have a good supply of logs, and we have someone out here harvesting this iron, right? Oh, I sent a guy out here to harvest the iron. Don't tell me he's done already. Seems unlikely. Huh, maybe he is done already. Alright, well there's a whole bunch more iron here. Let's grab this iron. There. Oh, you know what it was? It's because all the farmers are done for the season. So it wasn't one guy, it was 8 guys. Our 8 farmers and our 1 laborer. There we go. That's a good supply of iron. And there's already 1 tool in the... Oh, well, there was 1 tool in the barn. Somebody grabbed it immediately. This little symbol up here tells us there are 2 citizens that currently have broken tools. That's okay. Now there are 2 tools in the barn. So that problem is going to resolve itself very quickly now that we have a blacksmith on the job. In fact, we only have 24 citizens, so having 50 tools in storage is probably needless. So a reserve of 25 tools means that, for now, there'd be 1 extra tool for every citizen. So he'll keep making tools until there's 25 tools sitting in the barn. And we're up to 6, so yeah, that situation's going to resolve itself quickly. We are going to need a tailor soon. But things will come along. I'm sure we have children in here. Yep, there's a child. There's a child there. There's 2 children in there. So it looks like we have 5 more laborers coming. That'll be enough to get a tailor to replenish our fisherman, so that we have 4 fishermen out there. Maybe we can assign 1 to be a forester. And once we've done all that, we can build a new house so that one of these young couples can move into it and start making more babies. But we have a really good supply of food now. 3,500 food. That's enough to feed 35 people for a year. We only have 25 people, so we're currently got more than enough to keep them going for the year. So this is good. We're in a good position. I'm going to stop here. I think I've given you a taste of what the game is like. It's a lot of fun. It's very relaxing. The music is nice. And as long as you're careful about how you lay things out and you see to your citizens' needs and you think about the future, you definitely can build a thriving community. It's very, very easy, though, to get tempted and sprawl your community out and build tons of houses more than you need, and you'll end up crashing. I mean, the game won't crash, but your community will crash. There won't be enough food, there won't be enough firewood, everyone will die. So... but that's a problem for the future. Hopefully we won't have that problem. There are other things that ultimately this town's going to need. It's going to need a school. It's going to need a tailor. It'll need a church to keep the citizens happy. It'll need a graveyard. People are going to start dying. We're going to need a place to stick them. And eventually it'll need a trading post, so on and so forth. We have a lot we can do. If people enjoyed this video, maybe I'll record another video where I pick up from where I left off. But for now, we're going to say goodbye to Bincotton Bridge. And I'm going to say goodbye to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.